If you're struggling to scale your online arbitrage business and maintain your margins, you are going to love this video. It was an exclusive video I did in my Advanced Arbitrage Tactics School community with Jonathan Duke Does Amazon. We talk about how to scale your business while maintaining margins. He goes over kind of how he does it. We go back and forth with how to exactly do it. There's 3 or 4 nuggets I posted. If you want access to the full interview, the recording is available in the school community. Just have to use the link down below. Let's get into it and enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments.
How do you think about, so when you're scaling, if I actually, I don't know, did you sacrifice margins to scale?
Um, Not really. I've never really done that. I think in general, the more I do this, the better I get at sourcing and the tighter my parameters are, and I kind of never really listen to outside noise of like, this is what you should do. These are, some people say low hanging fruit, quick moving, right?
Yeah.
But I've always just really kind of believed in like strong ROI, good quality products for the long term. And now I'm really seeing that pay off because once you build a catalog of really disciplined products over the long run, like it's going to pay off substantially.
So what criteria are you shooting for? It feels so weird because I talked to you, like I know
Yeah,
all
no, I
this.
get
It's
it.
like
I
hard to do
understand
the
what
interview,
I
but
understand. Yeah, yeah. I would say there truly is no one size fits all. General rule of thumb, 40% ROI and $5 profit. I think both of those to create plenty of cushion. But also, the more I do this, I know that it's out there. And it's not like this unicorn to find that. It might just take more time in the game. And so I'm willing to do that because, for one, I just know it's out there. So and it doesn't take me that much longer, like I said. Um, and I just really strongly believe that I think people need to change their mindset of scaling is just increasing sales, right? To
yeah.
me, the best case scenario would be spending less and making more, less risk, more things to do with that money that you're not spending, or more inventory to buy, whatever, but at a higher margin. Now I understand Amazon's unique. People have different time allotments. People have different amounts of capital, skill set. So like I'm sure there's people crushing it with 15% ROI. I'm not here to hate on that, but for me, based on my time, my capital, there's no reason I don't need to be at least having 40% ROI. And I think mentality and just what we're used to hearing, out there, it's like you need to kind of just have a clean slate and understand. I think once I really understood that 40% is very doable, that was my new threshold.
Yeah, a couple of things there. So I think a lot of it too is when it almost seems for most people, because a lot of people hear like, 20% or 30%, $3, but like if it moves really fast, like
Yeah.
10%, you can make $1 or $2. Like they hear all this stuff or whatever. And it seems like impossible. Like I'm sure like some people, but that's kind of how I met you, or I saw some of your content. You're like, oh, like you could definitely find 40%. It's like, I don't know about that. And then like I started doing it and I was like, okay, like you could definitely do that. And I
Yeah.
think like it always seems impossible until it's not. Like for me, like 100K months seemed impossible until it wasn't, and it
Yep.
happened. And that's like, oh yeah, this is just math. Like it's about building your catalog and all that kind of stuff. And I think one of the big like takeaways to here is scaling is not like orange bars. Like that's what it said. That's everyone says that it's good for TikTok and Instagram. It's good. Yeah, if I shared my orange bars numbers, this group would grow even more, but like that's not what this group is about. But if I think to your point, if you spent, let's just say for argument's sake, you did 100K in sales, at 10%, right? That's 10 grand. Well, you could do 50K at
Right.
20% and we're at 10 grand again. So I think you
Exactly.
guys really need to think about that, because now let's just say for argument's sake, that 100K, you had to spend 50K to for that inventory, just rough numbers. But for the 50, you only spent 25 and you made the same amount of money. So
Mm.
you like cut your risk in half pretty much.
Yep. No, exactly. There's opportunity cost of money being going into that it's not going elsewhere. There's risk. It is Amazon or any business. There's always going to be some form of risk. And I also think that when you require tighter parameters, it's going to just make you such a better sourcer long term, right? And going back to something you were saying, I actually had this written down. I think one of the first things people need to do is mentally, it's like kumbaya, but like it is out there and it's very doable. The same way that the 4 minute mile is an easy example, right? Nobody ever did it, but when somebody else does it, when you know that it's possible, it becomes attainable, right? And so I know that it's possible. And I was introduced to other people, that were doing it, and I used to not realize it too. And then it was just made more and more sense to me. Like I can risk less, I could spend less, I can make more, and it's going to force me to be better because I always see this as a long-term play. And so as I just build and build and build my catalog, I always have this theory that a percentage of my catalog is always a good time to buy. And so I'm always adding to that good quality product. So over the course of time, I'm just going to continuously have larger and larger good quality products. And if something tanks and I bought it for 40%, I'm probably going to break even at worst. I hardly lose money, on products. Nothing's wrong with that, by the way, and I still do. But there's so much cushion built in for such little extra work at this point. And I think a lot of people too think it's going to take me so much longer. Maybe at first, but then you kind of, you're going to be getting better and better and better. And it's going to force you to be better. And so naturally that becomes your new norm because it's not so like 40% is not so unattainable, especially if you're doing like 30%. Like that's just being a little more disciplined.
Yeah, and we're talking, I'm pretty sure, like before like kind of cash back and all that other stuff.
Yes.
Like we're talking
Yeah.
about 40% in seller amp or whatever you're using. And I
Right.
think that it brings like a really good point is almost the patience angle. Like I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm having trouble scaling. I'm having trouble finding profitable stuff." And like it's hard in the moment because we want to grow, we want to scale, we want to make money, but I think it's really important like how you start. So like if you start at 20, it's gonna swing down like eventually, or like if you it's so much easier to lose money on that kind of stuff.
Right.
But if you start at 40 and 40 is like your starting point, right? If you get good at sourcing and better and find new techniques, well, that 40 turns into 50 or maybe even 60, especially as you start to learn like other tactics. Like, and Jonathan, I know he doesn't even use like discounted gift cards or anything like
Yeah.
that. So that could give him a big like step up if he wanted to do that, but like he doesn't like
Yeah.
to do that. So I feel like once you start at 40, like there's lots of ways to bump that up as well. So yeah, that's just like super interesting to me. Um, so kind of what do you want to talk about maybe some of your maybe how do you what would you think is the reason why you're able to find such high ROI stuff consistently, because that seems to be a big problem. I've struggled with that, so it'd be great to
Yeah.
get someone else's kind of 2 cents.
Yeah.
Plenty of sourcing sessions but I didn't find anything, and it was just
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
super frustrating. And like yeah, it's not like, hey, I found $1,000 in 37 minutes. All that stuff is like
Yeah.
pre-sourced out and stuff like that. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. And like if you could just push through, and like it only really takes like one ace in and then another ace in, like even if you only found one a day, like that's not sexy,
Yeah.
that's not fun, that's not quick. But nothing starts quick. Like now, after a week, you have 5 to 7 ASINs. Like hopefully one of those you can replenish, and then it just starts the flywheel, and then maybe you can find two, and then maybe you can find three. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important to like kind of keep that mindset.
I was just thinking of two things that came to mind. For one, keep in mind if you scale just for sales and not while decreasing, well, not only did we talk about the risk and the capital and the opportunity cost, keep in mind more IP complaints, more returns, more Riverbend reaching out for reimbursements to
Yeah.
help you out. Like it's just sometimes more is not always better because again, to me, the ideal method is with time, take the same amount of time, spend the least amount, and make the most. That to me is the most ideal. And I was just something else you were just saying, John. I was just thinking about this. I think a year ago me would get antsy or something if I didn't have something to find. But like now there's so much opportunity in brands and different niches that sometimes you have to be willing to chip away for an hour a day for a couple of days or a couple of weeks to like start submerging yourself in a new category, a new brand, a new your next level of expertise. But you're going to have days where literally you find nothing, and now I actually almost enjoy it because I know it's just a matter of time. And that's going to pay off long term so much. But earlier on, you just want to spend, you want to find things. And now it's like, I love it because it's just, I don't want to say I love spending an hour with nothing, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just a matter of time. And then I know how advantageous that's going to be.
And I think too, so two things on that. One, it almost proves the point that like that's kind of how life works or
Yeah.
business works, right? You don't always get like the same amount of customers. Some days you make more, some days you make less, whatever. But I think more importantly, it builds discipline.
Yeah.
Hey, like I can't find anything, but I'm not going to go with the 10 or 20% or something I can replan that I wouldn't normally buy, but I'm just buying it to buy it. Those
Right.
are the I've done that before, and like those are the worst because like you knew you shouldn't have bought it. What you think happens, it usually tanks or you lose money on it, and then it's just a wasted endeavor, waste of capital, and you could have just or like the next day, like just being patient. Like there's gonna be so much like I didn't really no, I did buy like $2,000 worth of stuff today. But like I'm trying, I didn't buy the day before because like I know 4th of July, I'll probably spend, I don't know, anywhere from like 5, 6, 7 grand.
Yeah.
And like it's a waste because I'm gonna miss out on all that cash back and everything else. So instead of being like, oh, I didn't spend any money for 3 or 4 days, it's like, no, like you're saving it so you could spend it like
Yeah.
4th of July and the whole weekend. So I
Yep.
think, yeah, if you kind of can like stay out of your head and like narrow down to, and I think a lot of this is like what makes most sense for you. Like how
Right.
much do you want to make out of this? Like if you don't want to scale it or don't need to scale it or whatever the case may be, then like don't. Just because we're doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. Like it's just bad for you.
Yep. No, I think I like the term like patiently persistent. It doesn't mean sitting and doing nothing per se, but like you don't have to buy things for nothing is worse than tying up your money on crappy inventory just because you wanted to spend money. And we've all done it. And I've been there and it's like, but trust me, those days pass and then your money's tied up for 6 to 8 weeks and you're just like, that didn't do me any good. I think also you need to really ask yourself what you were mentioning. Why do I want to scale? What number do I want to make? The thing is, I can't emphasize enough. Yes, it's a one step back, two step forward. If it takes you more time to find higher ROI items, but then that's going to become your new norm. So now you're going to have more products going through the cycle. You're going to get feedback. Some are going to be winners, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not going to always take you longer. And then it's just like anything, like you get to a certain level and then you're going to level up and level up and level up type of thing. So, um, yeah, no, I mean, and there's leakage and all. I could just go down the. If you can scale and keep pretty good margins, like I get it, like that's the ideal situation if that's what you want to do. But like, if you have the time and the skill set to lower them just because that's what you're supposed to do or think that's the norm, that's what I would challenge people to really think about, because I'm here to tell you 40% is out there. And if I had a smaller budget, I'd go for 50%, but based on where I'm at with my time, my budget, my skill set, that number has worked for me, and I'm very comfortable with that. But yeah, if I only could spend 10 grand a month, shoot, I might go for 100 and be super selective. So I would encourage people, if nothing else from this, like it's the mentality of scaling is not synonymous with growing profit. It's just more sales, and sometimes more isn't better for the sake of it.
Yeah, like you want to be scaling profit, not
Right.
sales, because
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
would almost think they go hand in hand, but like they really don't really think.
And
I
then,
think
and
scale your profit, if anything.
yeah, and then in that example, you're spending 50K more a month. Well, I think most people can put that, if they have that much, put it somewhere and probably make more than the extra cash back that that person
Yeah.
is using as an excuse. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure. All
So
right, let's get to we got some questions here.
cool.
Do you all mind going over how to source any of the sales happening now, like a Dix? Just a quick cover of it, of how you'd all do it. Also, I see a lot of shoes that have been active for 164 days. So how do I know if it will be good for back to school?
Sourcing, going over how to source any of the sales. So as far as okay, I don't really source apparel, so Dick's isn't like up my alley,
Let's just
but
say, how would you
any
source a
set, yeah.
sale? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
same thing.
so generally speaking, whenever there's a good sale going on, I would say just a couple things top of my mind that I'll do is try to hone in on a brand or two that are specifically discounted on that site. Go through my entire catalog. What have I sold from that brand? This is getting a little bit higher level, but you can essentially upload your catalog to keep
Yeah,
a product finder. And now you can filter, okay, let's just say we're talking Nike. Which of my Nike products that I've sold before are out of stock or have a decreasing seller count or the buy box is steadily going up, those type of things. So I filter my own history. Then I would also do some storefront stocking of other people selling that brand that I'm familiar with. Then I also may run through it with an out of stock search and keep a product finder, a no sales rank, trying to get unique charts because, like a Dix, everybody is going to see those sales. So anything that's heavily discounted isn't so advantageous if everybody has access to that. So, how do you gain the edge? And I think it's unique charts. And how do you get unique charts? Time in the game, keep a product finder, other sellers. And so that's like truthfully how I approach almost all sales is focus on a brand or two and do what I kind of just mentioned.
yeah, I think that's a really great strategy for that too. Like, yeah, if Nike was 40% off or whatever, yeah, maybe you don't want to go for that. But yeah, you probably want to plug in Nike to keep a product finder, kind of maybe put a price stipulation, maybe like, I don't know, call it $70 if you're doing shoes or something like that. See what pops up. And then what I've really liked doing lately is sorting offer count. So like I
Mhm.
want to see everything that has like a 0 or a 1 offer count because that just really like cuts through instead of trying to go through price.
Yeah,
So I usually have like offer count, like current offer count 90 day, price current, price 90 day, and it makes it so easy because you could be like, is the price up or down?
right.
Last 90 days, seller count up or pass, yes, no, and it'll make it super quick to kind of go through that stuff. So that's kind of how I like to source a sale. There's actually a video in this school, search like sale or something. I literally break down how I would search a sale using Keep a Product Finder.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, just shoot me a message on school. And then the second one, it doesn't matter. We go just apply this to any product. If a product only has 164 days of history, how would you know if it would be good for back to school? I mean, you could apply that to Christmas. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Seasonal play.
Yeah, basically what I'd be looking at just off the top of my head, is it a variation or not? So is the data I'm looking at pertaining just to this one product? For shoes, it's a good chance it's a variation. First off, before I even dive in further, I'm going in lightly because there's not enough
Mhm.
data, right? But that might present an opportunity as well. So what I'm trying to look at, has there been reviews in the last 164 days? Um, is there any information I know about this brand that maybe you have some just general knowledge that this is a really hot brand, or you've sold the brand before, you've sold something like this, maybe you can ask somebody about it. But a couple data points I would look for is like, what is the seller count doing? Is it fluctuating? Are sellers that currently have it in stock over the last 164 days, are they selling through? And you can look at the seller count in Keepa. You can look at the offers tab, the buy box statistics history. Did there used to be more and now there's less? And review count. And those to me are like probably the only real good indicators for something that hasn't, for a seasonal item that hasn't been around for a year.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want access to the full interview I did with Jonathan, there is a link down below to join the school community. You get access to me, could ask any questions, community of motivated individuals, coaching calls, interviews like this. I hope to see you in there, and have a great day.